Let's Talk Supply Chain. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Let's Talk Supply Chain. So before we get started, I have a question for you, because we're going to be talking about key digital trends today with my special guest, Shannon Hamilton of BlackBerry Radar. But before we do that, how many, in a research by IBM, what percentage of executives say that key investments in automation will include generative AI capabilities? You can't talk about key digital trends without talking about generative AI. So I want to know from you. Let us know over on socials, but we will let you know the answer at the end of the show, so stay tuned. Well, today I'm joined by a solution that was engineered in intelligence. I love that. Combining device hardware, a secure communications network, and a dynamic cloud platform, it gives organizations a single view of their business. Well, who is it? Again, it's BlackBerry Radar. So Shannon Hamilton is going to be joining me today, here live at Manifest to talk all about the key digital trends, generative AI, what's coming up, what's going on. And Shannon is no stranger to Let's Talk Supply Chain. She is a regular guest. She's been on several podcasts talking about BlackBerry Radar, what they do, and I've also hosted some webinars for them as well.
We've been very busy together.
I know. So we continue this partnership into some of the key areas and key discussion points. So for anybody who doesn't know you, why don't you do a little bit of an introduction? Tell everybody who you are, what you do, and a little bit about BlackBerry Radar.
Absolutely. So thank you, Sarah. BlackBerry Radar is a solution that is purposefully designed to track and provide visibility to assets such as trailers, containers, chassis, and even rail cars. So what does that mean? We're going to talk a little bit about digital trends, but digitizing your physical assets, knowing where they are, but also how they're performing, what are they doing beyond location, is what BlackBerry's focused on in this space. Yeah. So we're very excited to be taking a lot of our engineering expertise from our legacy telecommunications days and apply it to all the great problems that are in transportation and supply chain.
Yes, and can I just say, I've hosted a couple of webinars for BlackBerry Radar, and the collaboration and the partnerships that you do across the industry with other technology partners is just so inspiring. I love it. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for making collaboration a pure part of your ethos.
Thank you.
I really like that. All right, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, we truly believe that doing more with our partners is a value add for our customers. So we really enjoy working together, and I'm glad that it's coming through in some of the conversations we're having.
Sharing data is key collaboration, but we're talking about big digital trends for 2025. So what are those? Talk to me about those.
So we're here at Manifest. It is bigger and better than ever. I can't believe it. This is actually my third year at the show, 3 out of 4 years. And AI, blockchain actually made its way into some conversations yesterday.
Again? It's back?
Still there. And IoT. I can't actually go pretty much anywhere here at the show and not hear about IoT. So some of the trends are really about how are we using that information? How are we connecting it with partners? But how are we making it smart? How are we helping customers in the industry make use of the data? Because frankly, we're all kind of overwhelmed right now with the just sheer amount of data that is being put at us. So,
well, and also the technology, all the options, what do we do? Where do we start? I think also I had a conversation about data and outcomes and the solutions that it provides to us. And the human element tends to bring a bias. And I think we really still need to figure out the data sets, the data point, the bias that we inherently bring to data as well.
That's a good point.
For us to be able to really focus on some of the key trends that you're talking about, because that's what's going to drive innovation forward, I think. Anyways, so let's talk about that, because that could be one of the roadblocks to people actually integrating technology. What are some of the challenges that you're seeing in the industry right now?
I think cost and investment in technology is still something that is a challenge. I do think that events like this are showcasing that technology is getting more affordable. And I think through conversations like we've been having, that the ROI is attainable and real. It's not just something that is presented to you as part of a proposal and you can't actually realize it. So really focusing on bringing down the cost and making the investment scalable. We're going to talk a little bit more in our conversation here today about scalable technology and how we're thinking about it. But you don't need to, buy the whole system all at once, so to speak.
That's so true.
So how do you buy technology that meets your needs today, but it is also going to be scalable with you as your business grows and evolves in the future?
And that's huge, right? That's a really big point, or a key success point for a lot of organizations, is you need to look for a technology partner that can scale with you in your business. You may not necessarily know where the future is going to take you. Like, we've got to get away from the crystal ball syndrome. But you can partner with somebody who could potentially work with you, collaborate, and make sure that you can scale. What do you think is standing in the way of successful tech implementations? And like digital transformation, and I can't believe we're still talking about this in 2025. But from what I hear, a successful digital transformation is only 20% technology. It's 80% change management. So I'm guessing that is standing still in the way. Is there anything else that we should be considering when we're thinking about tech implementation that could be a roadblock?
So I think a couple of things. I was going to say change management. I still think that is a big part of why technology implementations struggle and sometimes fizzle out inside companies. We actually had a very large transportation company talking to us earlier today, and two lovely people whose jobs are head of innovation and technology implementation. And I said, I'm curious, is technology innovation being driven from your position, or is it being kind of bubbled up from the operations team?
Right.
And what is the balance there? And the honest answer was it's a little bit of both. But I think listening to our operations teams, listening to our customers is so important to understanding why are we looking at technology, right? Not just technology for technology's sake, but you want it to solve problems. And I think sometimes enterprise level decisions do need to be driven from a higher level in the organization. But I know that when I listen to our customers and listen to what the business challenges they have are, I come away with more examples of how I can go to our product team and say, we need to evolve the solution this way. We need to add this feature. We need to re-engineer the device. And so listening and getting that feedback from multiple sources is super important.
It's got to be a constant feedback loop, right? Because at the end of the day, things are changing all the time. Disruptions are popping up all the time. We actually don't know what we need today, what we're going to need maybe 3 months from now. And if we don't know that, how is the technology going to know that? Right? And the only way to do that is through conversation. So why is it important that we focus on integrating the right tech into our business? Like, there's a lot of options out there. And I think a roadblock is that there is a lot of options. How do we figure out what's right for us, right? But it could be really the foundation of a beautiful story. So where do we start?
So I think it starts, and I was listening to the opening keynote this morning, and there was mentioned, and we sometimes forget, that piloting and testing technology is very important, right? There is still a time and a place to invest in trying out some of the things that we're seeing. Some of the latest cutting edge stuff might not be prime time ready. There's companies like BlackBerry that maybe we haven't thought of that are actually doing really innovative things. And so you want to test out technology. To also see how is it going to fit in your organization? How are you going to make use of the data? Oftentimes, I'll talk to people here at the show and say, devices on your physical assets, as soon as you start seeing the data, it's amazing the amount of use cases or process improvements that start coming to mind, because you actually have visibility. And you
want
didn't
more.
have that before. And then you want more.
Once you get the data, isn't it a thing?
It is.
I want more.
It's totally
How much more data can you give me?
So true. It's so true. So I think one of the things is to, give it a try. But you want to also make sure that you're going to get, a partner that is going to be rugged, reliable, secure, and work with you through that pilot. I would say very hands-on to show you how to make use of the data.
And give you a chance to test. You got to have a good testing environment, I think, right? For you to be able to figure out if it answers all of your questions.
Right.
How do you know unless you try it, right? And BlackBerry Radar, I mean, you guys do a really great job of bringing technology with physical assets. Can you talk to me a little bit about why that's so important to business operations and success, maybe even some business improvements?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been with a blockchain company before. I'm super passionate about business process transformation. But it all starts with I say you can't manage what you can't measure.
Yeah.
So if you don't have that data, well, in the physical asset world, many of these pieces of equipment are not built with IoT devices in them. We're in a retrofit environment where we need to be installing and placing devices on assets to know what they're doing, to know where they are. Is my container loaded or not loaded? Is my rail car creating flat spots because the handbrake was left on, right? That's a big safety concern.
Yes.
So these are some of the data points that are coming off of the devices. And it really is about understanding beyond the location, what else is that asset doing? How is it performing? So that you can start digitizing your processes.
Yeah.
So an example, and this is a very basic one, yard checks.
Stories.
Yard checks. So we still have customers that need to send their teams out to physically count and account for how many trailers they have in a yard.
How long does that take? Hours, days?
It could take, I'm going to give you the honest answer. It's a good 30 to 45 minute exercise. Okay. But they're doing that every day, and they're doing it multiple times a day. Right?
In the winter.
And
in the summer, when it's hot.
When it's super hot.
That's a safety concern on both sides.
But let's also add in the factor of, are those trailers or containers, do they have cargo in them? The door is closed, so now people have got to go open the door and see, is there cargo in there? So now all of a sudden, because you're digitizing your physical asset, you can run a report that tells you, I have 12 trailers that are empty, I've got 5 that are loaded,
and where the location is,
how long they've been sitting there, how many miles are on those assets, because I might want to better distribute the usage of my equipment to be more
shorter
efficient, to maximize my maintenance activities. You've got visibility to things that you didn't have before, and that go beyond what a physical person could have done when they were out in the yard doing that yard check. So that's kind of where it starts.
I love it. And that's so much data. Like, there's so many great data points that you can take back to the team without having to go physically check something. And think about it. If you're already out in the yard and you got to go back and then go back again, I mean, nobody wants to do that either.
Yeah.
So talk to me about your radar asset tracking solution. Is that that little guy right there?
This is something new I wanted to talk to you about.
Okay. We'll get to that one.
Yes.
All right. So talk to me about radar asset tracking solution. I'm reading it because I want to get it right. You say it's a gateway to other sensors. So explain that to us. How does it work? What can we expect?
So this is one of the innovations that we are really excited to talk about here at Manifest, is that beyond location, we're seeing more and more customers get excited about the data, but they want more data.
I'm getting excited about the data, just talking to you about it.
So what are some of those other data points that we can provide when customers invest in a gateway?
Okay.
When we talk about gateway, it's the primary device that's giving you the speed, the direction, the location, but it is also communicating with other sensors.
Okay.
So as maintenance and safety become a bigger focus, we have customers, as an example, that want to know, are the tires that are on my trailer or chassis in jeopardy of coming off? So they measure the wheel end temperature. So they have sensors that go on the end of the wheel end to say whether that grease that's in there is heating up.
Okay.
And when that happens, it needs maintenance, or it could cause a fatality, which is the worst case scenario. So today, these sensors need to communicate with something, and the customers have made an investment in, let's say, BlackBerry Radar as an example. So we are opening up our technology to communicate with other third-party sensors like wheel end temperature monitoring, strain gauge sensors, which can measure the weight of a container that's on a chassis.
That's a big deal.
We are using our own devices to communicate, to pair assets together. So when is a tractor pulling the right trailer? When is a container mounted to the right chassis? These bringing more of these data points and being able to marry physical assets together is kind of the next evolution of IoT in our space. And why I mentioned this device is because we've actually been continuing to work at bringing our two devices, we had two sensors, into one, even in a smaller form factor, so that it can even meet the needs of our customers in a more discreet way, and can actually meet their needs with technology that's inside that is going to help them for the next 10 years.
10 years. I love that.
Yes.
I love that. And it's a nifty little device. I mean, it can, and from what I understand from all the conversations I've had with BlackBerry, it's easy to put on.
2 bolts. 2 bolts.
Love it. And then you get all the data and everything that you need. Now, you say with the integration of data, it's one pane of glass. Talk to us about the benefits of the data that's coming from these devices into that dashboard, the platform that you're providing to the customer. What are the true benefits to your customers from seeing all that information? Like, what are they doing with it?
Yeah, so we refer to our technology as event-driven. Why do we say event-driven? Because the data that we're producing, we want it to be intelligent. So the last thing we want customers to do is sift through lots of data. So we are going to surface very easily all the critical events. When did the assets start moving, stop moving? When did it enter a geofence, right? Is it entering your own distribution center, or is it entering a customer facility or a maintenance depot?
Is it on the way and maybe it's made a stop?
Yeah, it has made a stop. Maybe it's a an unexpected stop, and for security reasons, you want to check on your driver. So we're going to surface all of those events and basically allow you to customize and create reports in our user interface based on your operation to make use of that data. So as an example, if you have an asset sitting in your yard for 3 days, is that important to you? Do you feel that you should be making better use of that asset? Well, 3 days might make sense for you, but for another customer, it might be 2 days or 4 days. So all of those variables.
And you can make those decisions.
You can make
as to what's right to your business.
And you can customize it very easily so that, we make life easy.
Well, and then I think your solution is also scalable. So talk to us about that, because we talked about that as being one of the challenges and very important when you're thinking about bringing on a technology partner, is the scalability for them to be able to grow with you. So talk to us about that.
So scalability, I say you want a provider that's going to meet your needs today. So if you've not digitized your physical assets, the first thing that you might be looking to do is know the location of them, right? That basic yard check example that I gave, you need to implement that across your business. That might be step one. But the same investment in technology, this device, let's say, as an example, has BLE that's been added, which is the ability to communicate with other sensors. You can add other sensors down the road. You don't have to change the device. You've got technology that is also built to last 10 years. So, is it going to be an investment that's going to live with your assets for an extended period of time? Because touching them again is very expensive. The ability to add assets or extend the use of your data is what we're referring to as scalable.
And not to and then you don't have to change out the ones that are already there. If you are adding some of these trackers to what you're already doing, which is key.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you don't want to be doing that. That's expensive.
We have fleets today that have had our technology on their assets for 5 years, 6 years. And they're coming to us and saying, we now have this business problem, can you help us solve it? And because there's more technology in our devices than just GPS, we can now communicate via different protocols with other sensors to help them solve those problems. So something that customers invested in many years ago is still going to serve them very well as we help them solve more problems.
Well, I want to ask you one of my favorite questions,
Okay.
which is around case studies, because I love a good story, and you have a ton of good stories at BlackBerry Radar. So can you share one of them with us? Like,
Sure.
paint us a picture of when a customer came to you, what was the problem that they had? How did you help them solve it? What was the benefit to their business?
Yeah. So one of the examples I want to use, because we are doing more in the container space, is a customer that operates out of North America, but operates containers all down through the Caribbean. And this customer was not using any technology. They also do have chassis, so they want to understand a little bit how those two pieces of equipment work together. But they operate what they refer to as lanes. Their southbound lane from the US down into the Caribbean, and then their northbound lane coming back up. And for them, improving turn times and being able to have those assets move through those lanes faster in fewer numbers of days drives operational efficiency, reduces costs, and improves revenue.
Right.
And so they started with a pilot. It was 20 containers. And they started being able to see where their containers were dwelling, hanging out in locations longer than they were expecting. So because they knew that that container was there, they could have a conversation with the island, Dominican Republic, et cetera, and work with teams there to get these containers back into circulation faster. And overall, they were able to improve their turn times by 10% just out of the pilot, which is an amazing improvement in results, and basically showed them that investing in outfitting their entire fleet made sense. And I will honestly say, they are approaching it from a scalability standpoint. They want to do cargo sensing as well. They want to know what's inside the container. But they're starting with the basics. And they're going to add on in the next fiscal year because they can. They don't have to do it all at once.
That's a great story.
And so they're starting to get the benefits, and they're going to roll out, and they're going to expand the functionality as we go forward.
I can't wait to see that, like that continued rollout. With you, and you guys are really good at telling stories, so maybe we'll do that together. Maybe you'll have some stuff on your website, so make sure you go and check out BlackBerry Radar on your website for all of those stories, because those really are stories about success, implementation, and scalability, which is what everybody's looking for. So last question, what can we expect in 2025 from BlackBerry Radar?
Well, I want to say more of the same. We're continuing to listen to our customers. So we do software releases, Sarah, every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks? How do we keep up?
An impressive amount of updates and functionality, and once a quarter on our hardware. So we're continuing to listen to our customers. We are adding 15 customizable fields in our software this year. These 15 fields are going to expand the use for our customers to be able to integrate more maintenance data, potentially bring in powered asset details. So again, we can marry more assets together. But we just keep expanding the functionality and listening to our customers. So more to come. We want to solve more problems together.
And I want you to solve more problems. We have plethora of those in supply chain, don't we?
No shortage.
All right, well, I love what you're doing in technology. If you want to go and check them out, it's at blackberry.com under products. For BlackBerry Radar and tracking, asset tracking. It's under asset tracking on your website. And if you had a guess at today's big question, what was the question? According to research by IBM, what percentage of executives say that key investments in automation will include generative AI? What do you think?
I said 40%.
You did say 40%?
I did say 40. I was wrong.
Yes, she was totally wrong. So it's a massive 89%.
Yowzers.
Wow, that is a big number. With 19% saying a generative AI will critically important to their supply chain automation futures. You heard it here, folks. 89% says it's the future of supply chain. Well, thank you, Shannon, for joining me here at Manifest in your amazing booth. Look at all the trackers behind us. And thank you to the team at BlackBerry Radar.